I'm Michael McCann and we're driving through the suburbs of Canberra on the way to my office. I'm an entrepreneur in that I have an appetite for risks and I enjoy taking on new opportunities. I work with inventors and you do find a lot of Australian inventors who do get completely obsessed with their innovation. Inventions that on the surface demonstrate that stroke of ingenuity, but you're going to wonder, well, will they ever be taken up? Morning. How are you? Right now I'm working on 3 projects at 3 different stages of development. I like the inventive mind. I love the creative, unusual, individualist, inventive mind. I mean, inventions can be quite a burden for a lot of people. I find that inventors suffer their inventions as much as get a great deal of joy out of them. And the number who have the complete set of skills required to take an invention from great idea or even very smart technology to product is very few.
My name's Bernie Hiskins. I'm a bit of an inventor and I live in Perth.
Bernie's the classic backyard inventor. His background was as a radio engineer with a long experience in the RAAF and then for many years working as a radio engineer running out transmitters and repeater stations. So, you know, he was quite highly technical and he's a handy man on the lathe.
Goes in there, that goes around to there. That goes into there like that. That comes up there, then you turn it around.
Now this is the thing, you get these guys, they're highly specialised, they're highly skilled, they work very hard, they retire, and 10 years after they retire, they wake up going, aha. And old engineers have this bad habit of inventing things, right? Now, old engineers should not be allowed to be left alone for too long or they'll invent something. That's what I've realised.
I've called it the Stayput coat hanger. This is only a coat hanger, you know, not a Swiss watch. There's one thing wrong with these, they won't wear out.
Bernie's problem was something that he started working on when he was in his 20s. And now he's in his 70s, and after 10 years of trial and error, he's developed a device that improves the combustion of liquid fuels.
Turn the fuel on.
Bernie's fuel enhancer gives us very good improvements in fuel economy and cuts tailpipe emissions quite considerably.
What I've got my hand on is the unit that's doing all the work. In other words, it's changing the molecular structure of your petrol. Going good, there's no bubbles going up here. The bubbles you were looking at are oxygen. Now, to get this, you're using 2 radio waves. I'm on the border of nano technology. The average person wouldn't understand it. Fuel device is almost ready to go. It has got to be double checked by a professor here in Perth, and then we'll hand it over to the franchise companies.
This cylinder here is one of the devices that Bernie Hiskins has built, and what James is doing is running petrol through it on a rig to simulate the vibration of a normal motor in a car, And one of the observations Bernie has made is that when operating under the right conditions, this device seems to generate bubbles of gas. One of the things we will be doing in this investigation is analysing the nature of the gas and other aspects of chemistry of the petrol after it's been through the device.
We had a mechanic with substantial experience, 50 years experience, on Fords, test a Ford. He got a very good improvement in fuel economy.
I put one of Bernie Hiskins' devices into the car about 5 years ago, and I noticed an improvement right away with the car. I'm happy. It's not getting this one back.
It'd be important for you to actually understand what we're seeing is, as far as we're aware, previously unobserved, and as such, we're calling it the Hiskins Effect.
The university named it after me. The Hiskins Effect, yeah.
Curtin University has provided us with a very good starting point, and it's definitely demonstrated beyond doubt that something is happening in the Hiskins device that improves the performance, at least, of unleaded petrol. You know, an invention has to provide a quantum leap in efficiency or in comfort or in ease of completing a task or delivering a service for it to actually be taken up. This is Canberra Airport. We've been here for a year building a wireless technology designed specifically for use in airports around the world. And right now you've got all of this enormous aviation industry around the world, billions of dollars worth of transactions going on every day to move people from point A to point B. Your customers come to your check-in desk to enter into this contract to go from point A to point B. They check their bags in, you give them a boarding pass, and then they disappear into these vast halls called airports, and you don't know where they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, a special thanks to the following two passengers. Melbourne and Maine, please proceed as quickly as possible.
Flight pass fills the space between the check-in desk and the boarding gate with information, so you know where your passengers are. This was a concept developed by a fellow called Amir Khosravi, and we call him Saeed for short.
My idea was to have this map of the airport on a screen, and then you have like a dot on the screen that signifies where everybody is.
Saeed got held up on a international flight, sitting on the tarmac.
I'm sitting there and I think, well, what if we applied a normal engineering solution to this problem?
Saeed came up with this idea of being able to locate and communicate with checked-in passengers.
I thought, okay, if you have an electronic one, well, it allows interaction. It allows interaction, and interaction creates information, and information brings efficiency.
This is the present technology. When you go to a plane, you get this. This is a boarding pass. This gives you the right to walk onto a plane. What we're doing is replacing that with this. People come to airports, business travellers often, they get checked in, and then the phone rings, they have to go to an emergency meeting. In large airports, people get lost. People leave passports in hotel foyers. They left the cat in the flat. During long trips, people fall asleep. Other people come to airports, check in, and then get a bad feeling and decide not to fly and leave. Now, when this is the state of the technology, you can't tell that they've left, and as an airline operator, you have to worry about where everybody who's collected one of these boarding passes is. If they've got a bag on board, but they failed to board the plane, you don't know that they've failed to board until within 5 or 10 minutes at best of the scheduled departure time. You've then got to go and extract the bag from the baggage hold. All of this causes delays. Now, in a big airport, if you're sitting your plane on the tarmac and you're at an air bridge which someone else wants, this is costing you a lot of money.
Being a crazy inventor is bad enough it is if you are, Anglo-Australian born and raised and gone to uni here and whatever. But being an inventor who comes from Middle East, it's got a different appearance and different way of thinking about things, it makes things even harder. I mean, I've pulled away from the main working group, so there is not this like young Middle Eastern guy who's trying to push a project which is a security oriented. That is so wrong on paper, you have no idea.
He sees life in such a different way to me most of the time. I see things and see one solution or don't see a solution at all because I don't even see a problem. He looks at things and he sees a multitude of solutions and he sees things in such a different way to what I do. So yeah, I find that interesting. Frustrating sometimes. Our apartment in Sydney was full of models of inventions that he was trying to put together with bits of hardware items everywhere, which I used to kick my toe on half the time.
This is the first prototype. This is a hand-built prototype of a flight pass. This is the next generation. It's still a prototype. This is a base station, a flight pass base station, and these are scattered around the airport here. A network of these tells us where those things are, so that if you're in the wrong place at the time of boarding, they can send you a message, and a text message, and the device beeps and a light flashes, or they can simply go and get you. Here's the airport. Oh, and look, there's a little indicator right there.
Money is not the goal of this whole thing, It will be something that I will use to do something else. Sure, I'll make money, hopefully, but I will make money to do something else later. That's a result. So.
If Saeed's a multimillionaire out of this, that would be a good thing, but you can't ever count your eggs until they're hatched when it comes to new technology. Some people make a lot of money out of very simple inventions, but it's not just the ingenuity in the device, that's always important, but it's the whole process from there on in of finding capital, finding the team to put together production, marketing and distribution, and ensuring that you actually have a market. I'm far from a one-man band. I'm a linchpin for the inventors that I've chosen to commit to, and I give them access to the rest of the world that's required to bring an invention to market.
Are you both there?
Yes.
The flight pass technology, the people...
I look for investors with expertise is my first choice, so that they bring both their money but also something they can really add to the team.
Fully demonstrable at this stage.
That's Ted Pritchard. Ted's the guy that I've been working with on the commercialisation of a small biomass-fuelled multi-energy service, multi-fuel power generator, electricity generator. Ted's obsessed with steam.
We're about to look at a little model donkey engine, a little steam engine that my father made for brother and I when we were kids. The flywheel is from a Singer sewing machine. This piston rod here is a knitting needle. See, that's the safety valve. That's all ready to go. A little bit wet at first, and then away we go.
Very difficult living with somebody who's obsessed with an inanimate object. I can understand why Picasso and other such people, musicians, didn't have very stable relationships. You have to learn to be flexible. But we've survived. We're coming up to 31 years, so...
My father had a workshop in Melbourne. He had lathes and milling machines, and he was able to make virtually anything at that workshop. And he had told me he had built a little Uniflow type engine as a model when he was a boy, and it went very well. So all this helped stir my interest in steam. We thought steam engines were mechanically superior to internal combustion. We weren't worried about emission in those days or shortage of petroleum fuel, just that they're a better engine. So we thought we'd build a modern type of engine and oil and put it in a 5-ton truck and demonstrate it, and might be able to go into business making them in competition. We're pretty ambitious considering our circumstances.
That's the common category. Coach.
And here.
And this, of course, is the Pritchard.
Here we are. And it's in a Chevy.
Yeah, it's a wartime Chevy. The museum acquired it just before the Ash Wednesday fires. Unfortunately, the Ash Wednesday fires beat us to it, as you can see by the back.
Yeah.
The very important part of this object is that A, it's Australian. It was an Australian engineer or engineering family. Evidently there was several of the same family, grandfather, father and son. And it was father and son that constructed this, which is significant. It was done in Melbourne, but at the time when we were looking for alternative propulsion units to the internal combustion engine. And the museum has the only one in the world, and this is it. The wonderful part about it was that its acceleration rate was so high. I wouldn't mind seeing how well it'd do a wheelie, but I don't think the conservators will let me.
Complete specification lodged 11th of December 1957 by the actual inventor Edward Pritchard. Improvements in steam plants for the control of plant auxiliaries. This is the diagrams in support of Ted's original patent application, which has led to some aspect of the control of steam in that engine there. The engine is a very tangible example of his inventiveness and his enterprise. Indeed, it's no small feat to hand build an engine at any time, let alone a completely novel engine. And having done this and operated this for hundreds of hours, he was determined to go on and build a car, a steam-powered car.
Edward Pritchard, chairman of the Pritchard Company, is a member of the Institute of Engineers of Australia and a fellow of Melbourne Technical College in Mechanical and Automotive Engineering. Quiet, unassuming, Ted Pritchard is a man enveloped in a mission. The mission to demonstrate that steam power is competitive with and in many ways superior to other forms of automotive propulsion. Road tests of the green stripe Pritchard steam car, a 1963 Ford Falcon converted to steam power, were conducted in Melbourne and vicinity in November 1971.
The American Senate committees were interested in pushing for low emission cars. So in November 1972, the car was flown to LA, and we set up and started the demonstrations, and in 3 working weeks, 15 days, I think we gave about 35 demonstrations to the big motor companies, Ford, General Motors, American Motors. So they were quite impressed with this small car from Australia.
There's a couple of things about Ted's engines. Firstly, they're what's called externally fired, i.e. you've got a furnace which boils water. The superheated steam then drives a piston. There's no combustion of fuel inside of cylinders. Now, a furnace is a much more efficient way to burn anything. And as a result, you're getting a lot more work out of the fuel you're putting in, you're burning it a lot more efficiently, and you're getting much lower emissions. It doesn't have the unburnt hydrocarbons that make up soot and the volatile organic compounds that make up the photochemical smogs we get today, the nitrous oxides and things. Unlike any other car on the road now, Ted's Falcon, you could burn sump oil, you could burn petrol, you could burn diesel, you could burn ethanol, you could burn vegetable oil, you could burn any liquid fuel that was volatile enough, had enough octane rating, would run that car, and there was no adjustment required.
The motor companies promised to fix up the existing cars as the best bet, and so interest in alternate vehicles seemed to die down. And we found it harder and harder to get contingent support. We did not get contingent support, so we carried on up to about 1980 and had to give it away. We just could not financially support the work any longer. So it was an extremely disappointing time, as you can understand.
The technology then, it was well before its time, and despite the small, spike in oil prices in 72, 73, shortly thereafter oil returned to, 14, 15 US dollars a barrel. Petrol was incredibly cheap, and everyone lost interest, frankly.
We'd run out of finance and we had to put the people off and sell the factory and auction the stuff off, and we felt pretty badly. Some people wouldn't employ me. They perhaps thought if the project restarts I'd be out of there quick. That would have been right too, but nothing like that happened. So I had to do temporary part-time work and register for the dole, and the family undoubtedly suffered, and my wife particularly, because she'd backed it all the way.
I had a nervous breakdown over it and mind-boggling depression, and I think it was just the loss of everything that we'd worked for, everything that we'd dreamed of doing, and Ted's pain, I suppose.
In the last several years at work, I began to think about restarting an engine project. So when I retired, I began to do the drawings for this simpler stationary steam engine and wood-fired boiler.
It's a power generator. It's going to be small enough that two people can pick it up and put it on a ute. It can run on almost anything that'll burn. So villages, communities that might not be too prosperous can provide themselves with basic services like lighting and refrigeration, water pumping and such, like burning straw or sawdust or peanut shells. I mean, this has got a lot of value proposition.
Inquiries that we're getting now are wonderful. We just want support to match them.
Hi.
Hi, Stasia. How are you going? Come on in, it's Mike McCann.
Yeah, hello. How are you?
Right, how are you doing, right?
Good to see you.
I have to keep a couple. You can't have them all.
Oh,
I have to keep
they're
a couple
wicked.
for my son.
These lemon-flavoured slices.
Ted's closing on the final drawings on this now, and his drawings are not, to be trifled with. He does the complete engineering specifications down to the thread on the bolts and the grade of steel to use. Any competent engineering shop can take Ted's drawings and build from those drawings.
40, 60, 80 parts per. Well, we'll be seeing this demonstration engine in, say, 15 months.
He's still obsessed. He still wants the car to go, and he still wants that to be. And I just sort of told him either to get on with it and do it or get on with life. So he decided that he'd have another go, and this is how the stationary engine sort of project came up.
With the oil depletion, which is becoming more critical day by day, I think it's absolutely critical that we have alternatives, and the steam engine seems to be the only one that has able to use this enormous range of fuels. It is hard to be extremely enthusiastic all the time, because after 50 years working on steam, we've been lifted up and dropped back like a tea bag in and out, and we've looked like having wonderful success, and then it's faded again. So anyway, it looks like now may be the time. So I hope we can keep up our enthusiasm as long as it takes.
Backyard inventors are the lifeblood of innovation in Australia. There's vast and excellent research programs underway in institutions and funded by government and industry, both privately and through CSIRO and other such, fine institutions where great work's being done. And then you've got people like Saeed and Bernie and Ted, and there's lots of them who get out there and who don't bring anything to it. They bring no facilities, they bring no capabilities other than just the raw intelligence that they were born with, and in that you find real genius.